On the 8th of June, in the year 1835, a small boat came gliding up the River Yarra. On either bank were low grassy hills set about with tall gum trees, the water fresh and deep. "This will be the place for a village," said John Batman, who came from Tasmania in search of fresh pastures for settlement. A 100 years have passed since the parties of John Batman and John Pascoe Faulkner erected their village of huts, and now on that site stands Melbourne, queen of Australian cities. Less than 2 years after Batman's choice of the site, Henry Howie purchased a block on the corner of Collins and Swanston Streets for £45, where today the Manchester Unity building rears its graceful height, and Howie's modest purchase has attained a value of over £500,000. Melbourne owes a lasting debt of gratitude to Robert Hoddle, her first Surveyor General, who insisted in the face of bitter opposition on planning the main streets a generous 99 feet in width. Here is Old Collins Street, already in 1840 presenting an animated scene, and today the city's principal thoroughfare. Opposite the Manchester Unity building stands the Town Hall. Victoria's earliest organised transport system, Cobb and Company's famous stage coaches, has long since been superseded by luxurious fleets of motor coaches. These motor coaches now link the capital city with the country centres of Victoria, which, by virtue of the excellence of its roads, may well be called a motorist's paradise. Look at the stream of cars on St Kilda Road, leaving the city at the end of the day. Melbourne is justly proud of its residential suburbs, with homes like these. For the majority of residents of the outer suburbs, fast electric trains provide the requisite transport to and from the city, where Flinders Street Station handles more passengers in the day than any other railway station in the world. Traffic statistics reach their peak on one day in every year, Melbourne Cup Day, when the annual race for the classic of the Australian turf is run and won. On that day, Flemington Race Course can vie with any course in the world in point of brilliance and animation. In 1845, the first bridge across the Yarra was built, a wooden structure which in 1850 gave way to this single-span stone bridge, the opening of which was the occasion of wild rejoicing. The present bridge was completed in 1888 and named Prince's Bridge in honour of King George V and his brother the Duke of Clarence, who made their first visit to Australia about that time. Henley on the Yarra, at which crews from all over Australia compete annually, has its finishing point in easy view of the bridge. Prince's Bridge is used as a take-off for the annual Learn to Swim campaign. South across the river from Flinders Street lies Melbourne's glory, the Botanical Gardens, truly a place of wondrous beauty. 5 acres of land were enclosed for the making of gardens in 1846, but today 103 acres lie glowing in perfection. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle some years ago, referring to them, said, "I spend such spare time as I have in the Melbourne Botanical Gardens, which is absolutely the most beautiful place I have ever seen. The effect is a succession of the most lovely vistas where flowers, shrubs, great trees and stretches of water are combined in extraordinary harmony." These gardens stand as a lasting memorial to the creators, von Müller and Guilfoyle. Toorak in 1855 is today one of the most beautiful boulevards in the empire. This road leads to St Kilda, the playground of Melbourne's million, where the beaches are gay with bathers for 6 months of the year. The exhilaration of yachting, with all its attendant thrills, is enjoyed on the vast Port Phillip Bay. The Duke and Duchess of Cornwall and York, later Their Majesties King George V and Queen Mary, landed at St Kilda Pier in 1901. Their arrival was attended with such pride and pageantry as Australia has never provided before or since. The culminating ceremony, the opening of the first federal parliament, took place in the exhibition building. 13 years later, Melbourne witnessed another parade of troops through her streets, but this time ceremonial pomp was replaced by grim intent. Victoria's contribution to the motherland in her hour of need. That most glorious page in Australian military history, the Gallipoli Landing, is commemorated year by year on Anzac Day, when in memory of that deathless achievement, returned sailors and soldiers march through the city and the salute is taken outside Parliament House, formerly the seat of the federal government, until its transfer to Canberra in 1927. Although John Batman and John Pascoe Faulkner were the founders of Melbourne, Edward Henty, landing at Portland from Tasmania in 1834, was the pioneer of Victoria's agricultural and pastoral pursuits. Where he ploughed the first furrows in Victorian soil, now stands this memorial. Today, nearly 18 million sheep graze in the station country of this state, and the demand for fine merino wool has made possible the building and maintenance of homesteads such as this one. Here are some of the 3¼ million acres under wheat today, harvested by methods undreamed of in Henty's day. The fruit growing and canning industries center around Mildura, where the Chaffee brothers pioneered the irrigation of barren country, which is today the center of Victoria's dried fruit and citrus industries. Geelong, now the largest rural city in Victoria, was one of Victoria's earliest ports, from which the wheat and wool clippers started on their long sail home. What a contrast between the monotony and discomfort of a voyage in those old windjammer days and a holiday cruise in this floating hotel, the RMS Strathnaver, being farewelled at Port Melbourne in the typical Australian manner. In 1851, Victoria became a separate colony. Later, gold was discovered, and the names of Ballarat and Bendigo were on everybody's tongue throughout the civilized world. Hordes of immigrants of every nationality and class poured into Victoria, and the search for gold was carried out by primitive methods. The gold dish, the shovel, and the cradle. Long since superseded by modern machinery and processes of treatment, those old methods and the men who employed them laid the foundations of Australia's status today as one of the leading gold producers of the world. Through 10 decades, the keynote of Victoria's history has been successful and continuous struggle for independence and federation, combined with intense local patriotism and empire loyalty. Looking back along the perspective of years, we remember gratefully the early struggles of men such as these, the pioneers.